Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. Hey, good evening and welcome. Welcome to another edition of Talk to Tongie. And I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie, but you're my friend now. So it's Tongie, and I am so excited to be here. You have no earthly idea what I had to go through to get here. But it's all right because I'm among friends, right? Absolutely I am. I would like to start by saying that I met some amazing people this week. I met these women, these wonderful women at Lucia, of all places. So I've got to say a shout out to Miss Sarah Lee with a big, beautiful smile. Hi. And Samara Leo, who's just so beautiful. And of course, Sybil, who's in customer service, Michelle and Rachel, who's customer service. And when I tell you that these ladies served me with a smile, do you know how sometimes you get folk that maybe that day was a good day for them and they was just kind of in a foul mood, but not these ladies. So I am so grateful. I'm eternally grateful for your kindness. I really, really am. And lastly, there's a little place called Spice of India in Rodney Bay. And if you ever get an opportunity to go, Chef Adele has some amazing folk that help him. One in particular is Nzingler. I got it right. How about that? And of course, she had this big, wonderful smile. And Amelia, who happened to just be delivering at this place, and she said, "Hi, I hope you have a good day." And I was having a day where I'm like, oh dear God. So thank you very, very much, my lovely lady. And of course, Brianna and Sherika and Yvonne at Hobby. And the last person is Julie Poyette. She is the security lady over at Evergreen Security. I told you I got you 2 weeks ago. She made me almost promise that I was going to do that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, when your steps are ordered of God, and you never really know what that order is going to look like, He'll have you do some amazing things and dreams, and you begin to use your imagination. And I guess I'm telling a little bit of my story because that's exactly what He did for me. I went to med school thinking that I'm just going to deliver babies and have a real good cushiony life. Someone said, you know, when you have plans and God has plans, it's always His plans that kind of trumps your plans. And that's exactly what He did. See, our job as believers is to have faith, to believe, and then to just have a yes. And our guest that's coming up on the show, oh my God. When I tell you that this woman had a yes in her spirit, who knew that it would take her around the world? And she's done some amazing things in government, and she just won't quit. And I'm really excited to have her here. I said on the promo that went out earlier, I have been trying almost 2 years to get this woman, but it just goes to show you that when God has something for you to do, it's not on your time, it's His time. So there's always a set time to everything. And I need you to remember that if you don't remember anything else. There is always a set time. It may look like it's not going to happen. It may look like you're going to lose your mind, but you're not. So stay tuned while we take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to get into this amazing guest, and you'll hear all about her story. All right? Stay tuned. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Tongie. We're gonna do life together.
You want to avoid traffic? Avoid the stress of finding parking. The answer is the water taxi from Saloon Water Sports by Bay Gardens Beach Resorts to Pigeon Island Jazz Festival for only $50 EC or $20 round trip per person. Contact us at 721-5098 to book your tickets. Jazz Festival in style.
Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Tongie, and whenever I get ready for a show, I use a Toy Day food. A Toy Day food is a proud sponsor of the Dr. Tongie Show and Talk to Tongie. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're gonna do life together. All right, we're back. Thank you so very much. Again, I'm your friend, Dr. Tongie, but on this platform, you call me Tongie. And welcome to another edition of the Talk to Tongie show. Now, I told you that I had someone here. She's St. Lucia's own. I'm literally trying to have you guys adopt me, okay? So when you see me screaming, I'm St. Lucian, I'm St. Lucian, just bear with me, okay? I hadn't got the memo just yet. So I've got this woman, right, who her resume, it just exudes. She has a master's in international studies. She has a bachelor's in political science with a minor in international studies. I mean, her resume just reads like a who's who among those who really need to be known as movers and shakers. She served in the office of I'm messing up, Secretary General for Political Affairs. You know what? Why don't I just bring her on and then we just let her tell us where she come from. Keithlin Caroo is in the house, everybody. Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Did I flub that or what?
No, you were close,
I got chill bumps because there's this passage of scripture that says your gift will make room and bring you before great men and women, and that is exactly what you are. I count you among the greatest and you know, I'm not into telling age, but you're so young. You didn't waste any time, Keithlin. So I've got to ask you, there's a proverbial question. How did you get here? I know, right? It's loaded.
That's a very big question.
So we'll start with, what is it that you do that has it's revolutionizing everything that we thought we knew about politics, and we don't. That's out for debate. But you're in the service business. You serve people. Would you give us just a little background on how you got here?
It's a very long story. I'm proudly from a rural community from Foaso, Babano in the northwest of the island.
Okay.
And agriculture was always all around me.
Wow.
Literally grew up at a home where we didn't buy juice. You went on trees, you picked fruit, you made juice.
Come on. I love that. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
And grandmother.
And grandmother, absolutely.
That's the thing. I grew up in a household where I not only had my parents, but my maternal grandparents nearby.
Wow.
And both sides of the family were into agriculture. My grandparents more so, they were full-time agriculturists. My parents dabbled in it.
Yeah.
But as a girl coming from a farming family and having gone to all-girls schools, I was never introduced to agriculture.
Now, I'm going to just unpack that. You never were introduced to agriculture. Is it the culture of our St. Lucia where we just kind of tend that maybe it's for men, or why weren't you introduced? Or why do you think you were not introduced?
I think primarily it wasn't necessarily a gender issue at first.
Okay.
I think it was more so that farmers essentially believed that they were making money to educate their children to become doctors and lawyers.
Okay.
Not farmers.
Okay.
So there was never this idea that, you know, you had to actually go to school to do the same thing that they did, and also because agriculture is associated with poverty, unfortunately. I mean, we are a country that can boast that we can, like I said, go outside and pick things or dig things up and prepare it in the kitchen and so forth, and other people are literally living in food deserts. But we don't I think that we don't really value the profession of agriculture enough.
Okay.
And we don't realize how much farmers, agriculturists contribute to our overall development, essentially.
Absolutely. So with your growing up and you're seeing agriculture all around, it's almost a second nature, you would say? Okay. Now, so you see all of this beautiful agriculture, you see mom and dad and your maternal grandparents, they're there, they're doing it. Then you leave for a little while. Would you talk about would you talk about, if you will, your leaving to expound upon what were your intentions? Loaded question. You left. What did you do in that time period? And was it associated with what you were seeing as a child?
Actually, so my path, I wanted to impress my family. I wanted to, I guess, put value to the name, because I came from a rural community with a last name that's not recognized. There's nothing. So I wanted to, you know, like make my family feel that they were worth it, that they had achieved something within me. I guess bring value to my family name. So obviously I, as a kid, was thinking doctor, lawyer, and so forth. And all of these things never really fit. But I definitely had an affinity to the foreign languages, to history, and so forth. And then naturally, it's funny, someone mentioned to my dad that they're like, you know, at high school, and it was another student who said, I could see Keithlin as a diplomat. And I heard it, and I just ran. I just literally ran with it.
You're giving me chill bumps, because it's almost, and not as if, but of course we know that our lives are really not our own, especially when we're serving, right? When you heard that, did it make you feel like, oh my God, I've already got this responsibility to make my family's name known. Now you're telling me I've got to go into an area where I really kind of don't know, but that's heavy.
It is, but I think that for me, I just always felt, I don't want to say the pressure, but the responsibility. The responsibility to do well. And it's something that I still have to this day. And yeah, I agree. For me, I feel like my path was not chosen by myself, but it was already laid out for me.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's obviously, I feel like, a lot of divine interventions that led me to where I am today.
Wow. Oh my God, didn't I tell you that we're in for a treat? Didn't I tell you that we're in for a treat? Man, I've got so many questions here. I want to talk about you going away. You're in school. You've got this BA that you're going for, your master's that you're going for. Would you speak, because education, what I've learned here, education is really, really, really important. You're getting the education, you're getting the experience, because you went away from island, right?
Yep.
You said, yep. And you ventured into the United States.
Yeah.
Why, and this is just because we deal on the platform of honesty, openness, and sincerity. And if you don't want to answer, just say next question.
I'll answer.
Why return? You're getting the exposure. I mean, I lived in LA for a long time, Georgia, Texas. So I know oftentimes those things can have you go into a different path outside of where you thought that you'd go. What made you say, I'm going to stay committed to my reason why?
Because I will always be a St. Lucian first and foremost, because my country, I wear it proudly. I bleed my flag country colors, honestly.
I believe
my
that.
fiance. And home is always for me where the heart is. There was, throughout all the travels and everything, there was no place like home. And also I felt like, again, responsibility. I had a responsibility to contribute more. I felt like as a country that had, for example, 2 Nobel laureates and so forth, we became a bit stagnant. And I felt like there was a huge brain drain, and you kept hearing people saying, even to this day, when there's kids outside and they want to come back, you'll hear older persons or persons in general saying, what home have? Like, what's the point of coming back? And I hate to hear it, because for me, there is so much in St. Lucia. There's so much talent. There's just so much. And I think it's a matter of really investing in our country rather than other persons' countries, and taking that risk as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, there is a lot to be done, but I think that persons, whether it's from the diaspora, whether it's here, we really need to put country first and put our best foot forward. And for me, that was what was important about coming back.
That's what I'm talking about. Because when I got here, there was such an affinity to life. I'm thinking, wow, do St. Lucians know what they've got here? Oh my God, it was more than mangoes. It was more than bananas. And I'm grateful for mangoes and bananas and coconut water. But there's so much life here. And I knew that, God, you got to find a way to get me back here. I knew when I came here. So for you to say that, it resonates so with me. Thank you for that. Seriously, thank you. Now you're getting this education and you're having these experiences. Home is still where the heart is. And you're becoming the work that you're about to do. Ouch. What made you say, yes, I'm doing it to make a name. Yes, my family has XYZ. What made you say, I've got all of this capacity, this potential in me, and I got to take it back home? There has to be a why.
Absolutely. It's a lot of whys. But I think it started off again with thinking, what you want versus what God wants for you. What I wanted was, if I'm doing international relations, naturally, enter the UN, which is what happened to me straight out of grad school. So that
is so wild.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Your resume, when I'm reading your resume, I'm thinking, she did what?
Yeah, I was a baby. I joined at like 25.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, straight out of grad school.
That is unbelievable. Well, it is believable. When God has his hand on your life, it is believable. But for you to stay so focused and so committed, being around all of that power, you see? And you still had that burning for, I'm taking everything that I'm doing and I'm going to give it back to the people of my country. How do you even wrap your mind around that kind of discipline?
I think that's a great question. I think, again, for me, it's about how I was raised. I had really strong women and also great male role models, but really the women made a big impression in my life, particularly with my grandmother. I think there was that discipline. She was the one the farmer that was never recognized, who was also a market vendor, who also put food on the table, who also was giving loans to people who had jobs and sending.
Come on.
No, like she was just everybody's go-to. I mean, to this day, people still tell me like that my grandmother would cook for the entire community.
That's what I want people to say about me. I'm so serious. I want people to tell my grandsons, you should have met your grandmother in her heyday. What an honor to carry that kind of cloak, to wear that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're hearing all of these wonderful things about Nana. Sorry, grandmother. Because that's what my
Mom,
children.
that's what
Did you ever feel like I've gotta walk in her shoes, or I'll pick up from where she is or was, and I'll carry that torch?
I think that, honestly speaking, when my grandmother passed away when I was about 21.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. My life shifted, but for the better. So
See, you're jumping here. We're gonna unpack this stuff, lady, because I know there's someone that may be listening that are saying, perhaps you're in between two opinions, and you're thinking, oh my God, I hear what she's saying, but man, I just kind of want to stay here in the U.S. and do what I'm doing. You literally had to say, you know what? My life's not my own anymore. So at 21, you said it shifted?
Yes, at 21.
Wow. Yep. Now you're still in college, right?
Yep, I'm still in college. I was finishing up my BA in Puerto Rico. Funnily enough, my whole thing was that I had a relationship here, so I wanted to come back home.
Like most of us would.
And literally, like the last semester, it went kaput, and I decided I'm gonna go to the US.
I'm not laughing at you guys, sorry. But you kind of let a good one get away. But you know that already, don't you? I'm sorry.
No.
Forgive me. Okay, I'm being ugly. All right, so you're in Puerto Rico, right? And now you've got to make a decision.
Yep.
What's that decision like?
Literally, like 3 months, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. There's this thing, I think it's like a 1-year work visa.
Okay.
So I did that with the US. It's like with your student visa.
All right.
Went to my aunt's in Connecticut. Was crazy looking for jobs. Got literally the worst jobs, carrying boxes.
Wow.
Selling football tickets, like
being
anything.
Tested, right?
Tested.
He really tested your
faith. Let me tell you, like hundreds of job interviews, not getting one until I got hired by the school that I ended up doing my master's at, and where I met my fiance.
We'll get into him.
And from there, I mean, it was a lot of obstacles, but at the end, I mean, especially when I got to the UN and so forth, I think it just made me realize that, again, I kept remembering my humble beginnings and also responsibility. I think the UN has an effect on people where after a while, for me, I felt like I was chasing the promotion rather than chasing the cause.
Wow.
And my ethos started shifting.
Really?
And I felt like a lot of people in the UN are surrounded by that. It's driven by ego, not by passion or by cause.
Ouch.
And I felt like that was a big stumbling block in the system. And I noticed people that were in the UN system, they started thinking very narrowly.
Wow.
And if you're working on huge world issues and so forth, and you have this very narrow scope, obviously you're not seeing all of the solutions. And for me, I felt like, especially in countries like St. Lucia, there is the ability to create solutions from the grassroots.
That's where I want to unravel. Right after this break, we're going to get into how do you stay focused, and then get into the grassroots issues of there's a need. I've got some answers here. So stay tuned, if you will, with Miss Caroo and your girl Tongie. Be right. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together.
You want to avoid traffic? Avoid the stress of finding parking? The answer is the water taxi from Saluna Water Sports by Bay Gardens Beach Resorts to Pigeon Island Jazz Festival for only $50 EC or $20 round trip per person. Contact us at 721-5098 to book your tickets. Jazz Festival in style.
Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Tongie, and whenever I get ready for a show, I use the Toy Day food. The Toy Day food is a proud sponsor of the Dr. Tongie Show and Dr. Tongie. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. Hey, we are back. Again, thank you so very much for hanging out with us on Thursday nights right here on DBS. It is such an honor to be in your home, to have your support. We've got our phone lines open at 451-9788. And for those who are wanting to interact, like Ava, 470-534-2216 is the number. We are literally going to be interacting this evening with your questions, okay? All right, let's get back to this amazing woman who has served time in the UN, who's traveled the world, who speaks fluently. What is it? French
Spanish.
and Spanish. Yeah.
And Creole.
And Creole. And of course English. And she has so much going on, but when you meet her, there's no intimidation there. She said something right before our break, ego. And you and I both know, and all of us that are watching know, that ego has no place when you're serving. And that's what she's doing. She's rolling up her sleeves. She's did the grassroots effort. Now she's come back home to not make a name for herself, but make a name for other people that she serves. And that's the spirit of leadership, not just the leadership spirit. So let's talk about your transitioning now. So you are around folk that are in the UN, and you know how it operates a little bit, and I'm sure they've got all of their ideologies and all of that good stuff. You're serving people in political power, and what's your takeaway? Your day-to-day, you're seeing all of this happen, all right? Because a lot of things happen in the UN. It
Absolutely.
does. They kind of set the tone for us. What's your takeaway to bring back to St. Lucia?
My biggest takeaway, I think, with the UN was the work ethic. Being a baby, going in there at 25, and then also being exposed, especially with my last assignment, around Nigerians in particular, West Africans, Asians, their work ethic. And I was like, I think in the UN there was also this mindset, and in general there's this mindset that Caribbean people are very laid back, even in the way that we work. And I was like, no, I'm gonna show you that that's not the typical thing. And if you and I are on the treadmill, let's see who gets off first.
Does she sound like Will Smith? Getting ready for Ali. That is so amazing that you would say that. I mean, you're a little bitty person with such capacity. So your worth ethics, they were there, your ethics were there, but it just kind of went to the 10th power. Huh?
Absolutely, because I was tested. I mean, I was really young. My last portfolio was literally at the seat of the UN. I was the special advisor to the President of the General Assembly, and that is a portfolio where you're up at all hours. You literally have to be attuned to everything. You're on call 24/7.
A little bit worse than being a medical doctor, huh?
Very much so.
Wow.
Yeah, but I loved it because at the end of the day, now I look at it, and if I didn't have that experience, I could never create a social enterprise or an organization. I could never believe in the creation of it, and I could never get exposed to other people that have done things outside of the UN. Because the thing that we think, especially in St. Lucia, is that development should be in the hands of government, and actually can be in the hands of us individuals and also outside agencies as well. It doesn't have to be government. I'm
sorry, but you were saying some things that I sorely believe in. I honestly believe where the government should rest on our shoulders and not us resting on the government's shoulder. That's just what I believe, Matthew 6:33. But to hear you say that, and you just literally said, enough is enough. And that's basically what you did. You said enough is enough. And because God trusts you with so much, there is a wonderful passage in our Constitution that says, to whom much is given, much is required. And there's a lot required of you because you always said, So you took everything that you had learned, carrying boxes, selling football tickets. I mean, who does that? But someone who is destined for greatness. It was a little bit more than a job. It was an assignment that would really catapult you to national purview. So you bring all of this home and you create with your hands and with your intellect and with your heart this amazing service-oriented what? Organization.
Well, people call it a non-profit organization, but really I look at it as a social enterprise, because while we focus on development, at the end of the day, we also create pathways for people to earn income. And also, I use business principles to run the organization, because oftentimes in St. Lucia too, NGOs are looked at as very laid back. Even people going into the NGO sector to look for jobs, I've noticed that people think it's just like a hobby and, it's just like a very laid back thing. And I'm like, look, our farmers are our clients. I want to serve them just like a bank, just like a telecommunications agency, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, what we're serving is impact.
We've got someone, all right, and I'm going to get to that. But I want to say thank you so very much. Christ Love Pierre Antoine, who says, yow. And Bad Boy Reynolds, who says you are a role model for today's generation. How about that? Thank you so very much. That is so kind and so true. And he's giving you hand claps. So that's warranted when you're doing something like you're doing, right? I like the fact that you said social enterprise. You didn't say nonprofit. Helen's daughter, Helen's daughters, is your social enterprise. Would you speak on what it means for you to have created something so amazing, and then what it means for the people that could be a part of Helen's daughters?
Again, I think that even introducing social enterprise to St. Lucia, we haven't really had it. There's no legal framework, actually.
I know.
Even when registering, it's like we're registered as a non-profit organization. But at the end of the day, I don't think that any organization, development organization, can remain sustainable if you're only relying on grant funding. You have to find pathways of generating income for the organization and by extension for the people that you serve. And that is why we do things like the agritourism tours with our partnership with Hotel Chocolat and having the farm on there. Even like creating our farmers markets where women can generate their income and so forth. It is important. Because at the end of the day, what you do find, and I guess like when I did my scoping out of the sector, is again people chasing money rather than focusing on the ethos of the organization. And I wanted to stay pure, be selective about who funds us, but also maintain a control on ensuring that the goal with what we started with is always achieved.
I love it. I absolutely love that. I'm about to burst from the seams right now because you're speaking my language. I just believe that, and you said it best, business, every one of us was born with a business, whether we get it awakened in us in this lifetime or not. We were born with a business. We were. And for you to do what you're doing, okay, serving other folk, that's what you're doing, serving them with your gifts, your skill sets, your talents, and giving them a voice. Would you tell us what makes up a Helen's Daughters?
It's so refreshing now because it's really, I remember when we first started the whole thing with rural women, it was obviously we attracted traditional farmers. Now you see women that are doctors, farmers, accountants, whatever, where it's like the same story as mine. I grew up in a rural community because let's be serious, 80% of St. Lucia is rural. Most of us come from those communities and the foundation of St. Lucia is from agriculture, like hands down. And they are now feeling that pride of being associated again with agriculture. And what I mean the organization is doing is position these women strategically and in several sectors of St. Lucia so that you're a Dr. Tongie, I'm a farmer, I can check you for something if I need it. Aside from us being an organization, but you're literally creating networks and linkages within women so that they can check on one another. So it's not just an organization, it's really like a community.
It's a community.
In a sense.
I love that. I've got these chill pumps, man. 470-534-2216 is our number for you to kind of be aboard and participate with us. And if you want to call in, 451-9788. Keithlin Caroo, who's changing things in this country. You said something that I don't get to hear a lot, but I've been hearing it so much being in this country. You believe in supporting one another. Women checking on women. That is so, that's so what we need. You know, back in the day, and I'm telling my age here, I'm from Mississippi. That's rural. Talk about rural. We were not only growing cotton, we were picking it. Ouch. And we had women like Miss Curly or Miss Mayfield that literally, and my mama, you better be watching, who would call and check in on the neighbors. So part of what Helen's Daughters does is you've got this network. You bring wares, you bring your product, your produce, your gifting to the marketplace, and you're not solely dependent on grants. You literally teach sustainability.
That's what we're trying to do.
What do you mean trying, honey? You're doing it. Sorry, wrong answer. Would you talk on, I don't want to say challenges, I'll say opportunities to use your faith. Yeah, you like that?
Yeah,
I figured you would.
It's a good one. I think the biggest one is people still not understanding and being very suspicious of someone who decides to do this. Because we just launched our very first annual report and we had a co-creation retreat and we gave it out to everyone. You know, finances and everything. full transparency.
Oh, come on.
Which you don't see
No, you
in
do
a lot
not.
of organizations. And people are like, someone made a comment, she must be getting money somewhere. Like for
come
doing,
on.
But you know, I think it shows me then the trauma and the abuse from people going through other agricultural organizations and those types of things, and seeing mismanagement of funds and all of those, corruption and all of those things, and not being accustomed to this model. And at the end of the day, it makes me believe that I need to stick to certain values and principles, and always a reminder of sticking to my ethos and just proving that, look, this is a completely new model. This is different. I think that is honestly the biggest test.
I'm just, oh boy. You're resonating like my story coming here. Someone said, well, why do you smile all the time? You know, and as an example. And I'm saying, but if you only knew how difficult my life was, you'd smile with me. You'd dance with me. I'm not here to say, hey, look at me, or look what I'm doing. I'm here so that you can live the life that you're supposed to live. It's too many of us leaving this world without doing what we're supposed to be doing. Too many of us walking around not being that change that we know we can be. And for you to literally say, you know what, I'll be her. That's wow. Thank you. That's major, it is. And for you, that challenge to be out there, I hope that you really, who's ever listening, and I know you are, I hope that you honestly see her heart, that you see her spirit. She doesn't want anything from you. It's just a matter of making sure you get to where you're supposed to get to in the desired time that you're supposed to be doing it. With that being a challenge, and that being some of the trauma that unfortunately we as women, you know, we carry a lot. We really do. We mask how strong we are when we're breaking sometimes. Have you ever had someone, present or past, that just didn't fit the model?
Yes.
Ouch.
And the thing is, it's not only in St. Lucia. It's actually happened in one other country that we just entered into. And again, I think it is just not feeling accustomed to seeing a community that is, I don't want to say pure, but that is just based on very different principles. And similar to a case that we had in St. Kitts and Nevis, right now what you see in terms of Helen's Daughters and how we function is 6 years in the making.
Wow.
With St. Kitts and Nevis, we just started a year and a half ago. And they're seeing what's happening in St. Lucia, and they want the same thing.
That is so wonderful when that happens.
Again, I think for the last 4 years, the biggest job was the mindset shift. The shift that we saw in women holistically, outside of them making more money or their families being happy, whatever it is, that mindset shift is crucial.
Yes, it
in,
is.
in the work that we do. And there's no way of really, you see it, there's no way of sometimes, you know, putting it in our monitoring and evaluation. But that is, I think, I see it and I'm like, I try to reach out and say, hey, you know, like, this is what we're doing. But then at the end of the day, a person is a person and they have to make the decision to change.
Absolutely.
And all I can do is say, hey, this is the environment. You're welcome to partake, but if you don't want to, then there's no forcing you.
You know, and that breaks my heart, because this program, this social change, it just resonates with everything that it makes up a person. I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. We are spirit, and we have a soul, which is our mind, our will, and our emotion, encased in this amazing body that we get to walk around in, right? You literally you're doing something that hasn't been done. And the mind, you know, I say it in some of my programming, if you can get a man to change his mind, her mind, you got the man.
Yeah.
You got the woman.
Yeah.
You really do. And that having been a challenge for you, I will apologize. That more, that person or persons were not able to really take advantage not of the situation, but take advantage in the situation. So you're established 6 years in the game now. Yeah. Wow, that means you're doing something
some
right.
Skin in the game now.
You got skin. Oh, that's a good turn. I used to hear bankers say that to me. Hey, you ain't got no skin in the game. What? But for you to literally be positioned in what you're doing, that takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of bravery, and it takes a lot of faith. And we're going to talk about that courage and that faith component of anything that you do right after this break. Stay tuned, please. This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Tongie. And whenever I get ready for a show, I use the Toy Day food. The Toy Day food is a proud sponsor of the Dr. Tongie Show and Dr. Tongie.
You want to avoid traffic? Avoid the stress of finding parking. The answer is the water taxi from Saluna Water Sports by Bay Gardens Beach Resorts to Pigeon Island Jazz Festival for only $50 EC or $20 round trip per person. Contact us at 721-5098 to book your tickets. Jazz Festival in style.
This is Dr. Tongie. I'm from a little town called Columbus, Mississippi, and I've come all the way here to show you exactly how you can live abundantly. Fear is nothing. You hear me? You can do anything you put your mind to. I'm your girl, Dr. Tongie. We're going to do life together. And we are back. Thank you so very much for allowing us to come into your home, to come into your ear gate. I do not take it lightly or for granted that you're hanging out with us. Seriously. 451-9788 is our call-in number. 470-534-2216 is what's happening on WhatsApp. So I want to say a special shout out and thank you to Miss Perlita Felix. Where is she hailing from?
Soufre.
Soufre. Yes. Thank you so much for showing up, man. Yes. We're here with none other than Miss Keithlin Caroo, who's a mover and a shaker. And I told you, I wasn't kidding when I was just saying that. You know how people will say that as an introduction. Oh, she's a mover and a shaker, and then they're not really doing anything. And you're like, but what's she moving to, Doc? What's she shaking? Well, this woman is doing it seriously, and she has created a safe community for people to be valued and to have discipline and principles that will literally move you from where you are to where you really want to be. And we're going to talk about this faith thing, because it takes a lot of faith and courage, woman, to get up every morning, roll up your sleeves and say, you know what, today is the day that I do this. What does that look like for you? Typical day.
Typical day is I wake up happy. I wake up energized because I really love what I do.
Okay.
Wake up, gym first.
Is that right?
Yeah, because
But you should see this woman. She's dressed to the nines, man. All right, so you get up and you're going to the gym. All right, what next?
Need that. After that, get dressed, head straight to the pyramid where our office is.
Okay.
And literally, I treat it just like a 9 to 5. I
Wow.
mean, we have 2 staffers. Prep, we have our entire program of for the year already mapped out. I actually,
so that
before
planning, not to cut you off, but that is something that you literally, I won't say painstakingly because nothing we do is painstaking, but you're planning. You said that's planned for the year.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we started planning it 6 months before our co-creation retreat that we had a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
When we plan a program, we don't just essentially, it doesn't come from the top down. We invite our members as well to contribute, to say what they like, what they don't like, what makes sense, and so forth. Then we concretize it and we essentially push it out. And even when I left, I got here at 7:15, but we're currently having a training program running, a 9-week virtual program. Our Rural Women's Ag Academy, which is an agricultural course that provides free training on sustainable agriculture, financial literacy, agribusiness development, agritourism, and nutritional marketing as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Oh, Keithlin, I need to sit at your feet and glean from you, woman. Because I've learned so much just sitting here that no person is an island. You may be on the island, but you're not by yourself in anything that you do, especially when you're serving other people. Convincing other folk that you really are going to do this, how difficult was that? Or was that anything that you even stopped to do?
Oh, I have a good story to tell you.
I'm listening.
When I told my parents, like, I had been telling my parents, look, I'm considering leaving the UN. And even my co-workers, and they're like, yeah, sure. And I mean, I was still strategic because I'm not from a wealthy family. So I needed, there was this fellowship I had my eye on. And I ensured that I got it before I took the jump because the fellowship would cover my salary for me to run Helen's Daughters. And the fellowship essentially helps you to build up your organization so you get enough funding and investors to be able to pay yourself, your staff, and have programmatic funding. And when I got the fellowship, I was the first person in the Eastern Caribbean to ever get that fellowship. There's like 4 of us in the Caribbean who have this. And I told my mom, and all her friends told me. Later on, she like cried in the office. She was like just gutted. She was like, "Why would you leave the UN?" My parents didn't get it. Then
I'm thinking she's crying because she's excited for you.
No, petrified.
Excuse me, lady.
No,
really?
No.
Okay.
They didn't, and I get it. I mean, it's like coming from where I come from. Your kid goes to the UN and you want to leave to come back to start an organization called Helen's Daughters. Like, it doesn't make sense.
But he takes the simple and he confounds the wise. So you literally are what I read every day. You are the example. You're not just talking about it, you really are being about it. You've become the work. And I say this, and I've got a little book called Journaling with Dr. Tongie. Deciding to move forward, my shameless plug. And it says, when you realize that you no longer have to work for a living, you become the work, and you never work another day in your life. And that's exactly what you're doing.
And that's what it feels like.
Oh, wow.
That's
You're saying,
like.
You hadn't even read the book, have you? She's already living the principle. That is truly a principle. It is. So everybody's up in arms. They're kind of wondering, have you temporarily lost your mind?
Yeah, probably.
I get that a lot. I do. You left Hollywood and you're going where? I'm going to sing Lucia, and I'm going to teach people, but you went bankrupt. How you gonna teach somebody? You lost everything 5 times. You were $4 million in debt, and you gonna teach folk what? You've lost your house, your cars, your mind. But I'm learning now, and I think you can attest to this, Keithlin, you have to lose your mind to get a mind of Christ. Because we've been so bamboozled believing that you can't have it unless you work for it. But that's not what I read. He said, if you do this right here, you seek this, I'll add everything to you. But you got to go and get it. Ouch. So you did it anyway. You started, you launched, you got this amazing program. I'm coming to the market to buy now.
Yes, you need to.
Oh, not to worry, I am. When do you have the participants of this amazing organization, amazing community, amazing family? When do you guys go to market so that you can literally show them what you're talking about?
Oh, well, we have a market every month, the last Saturday of every month at the courtyard of the Pyramid near Point Seraphin.
All right.
And you get to see a tiny glimpse. It's like a quarter of the membership, but still, you get to see amazing women. Like, you get to find things like breadfruit waffles.
Oh, come on.
Handmade candles.
Are you serious?
Yeah, kombucha, sauerkraut.
What?
Yes. Like things that you would never think. That's why I keep saying there are so many gifted and talented persons in St. Lucia, and they just need a space to be able to shine through and show that talent, and that's what we're trying to provide.
Oh my
Of course,
gosh.
and making money they're able to make money as well, because people, it's funny, I've heard some men say, oh, this little market and whatever, but our market pulls in sometimes a month $13,000. So
that doesn't sound like a little market to me. Sorry, it doesn't.
No, there's women who literally make $1,500, and that is some government workers make that a month. Right. And they make that in one day, and that is the power of agriculture at the end of the day.
Well, we've got Giselle Montote. Okay, I hope I didn't butcher your name, babe. You said Bad Boy Reynolds was so true. You're being the role model for today's generation. She is. She really is. I'm so inspired. She makes me want to do more. I'm serious. Now, let's move a little bit, because behind every great woman, someone said, is herself. Nah, it's her significant other. How did you convince the love of your life that, I'm telling you, honey, I've got this. We're going to do it. Did it go something like that?
No, I mean, he was my biggest cheerleader from day one, because I started Helen's Daughter as my second year being in the UN. So it wasn't new to him.
Yeah.
And I mean, he is Ghanaian. We met in college. And it's funny because he was an entrepreneur in college. He was the one, I had never seen that. He was making his own money. He had a whole website. He was selling this and doing this and paying tuition by himself and not taking loans. And it was really inspiring. And his drive and his ambition really unlocked something in me as well. And I was like, I think I can do that. I want to do that. And even when, I mean, we started working and so forth, like, to make extra money, we even had like a social media marketing agency for like
I love it.
3 years. Yeah, and we specifically focused on immigrant-owned businesses. And you know, we had some success stories. We stopped it when I left, of course, but there was one company that ended up being on an HBO series and different.
Oh, come on!
No, like it really was. No, I think that was, if this wasn't here, that would have been very
I get that. Wow, how amazing! So you there was no convincing him.
No. He's great in the fact that he saw something in me that perhaps I didn't even see in myself.
Now, what is that? She's looking at me like, you didn't ask me that on camera, did you? What was it that he saw in you that you didn't see just yet? How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone who could create. Someone who could. I don't want to sound egotistical.
No. See, there's no ego in here. You joined the prayer before we started. So there's not even us. It's him speaking through us because there's someone that needs to hear this. You're right there on the verge of being 3 feet from where you need to be. And then you tuned into this show and you're like, wait a minute, hold up, time out. She looks like me. She sounds like me. So maybe me is in me's way. Ouch. What was it that he saw in you that you didn't see?
He saw power.
Hey! You said that real good. That means dynamite. If you're looking at it in the Greek term, okay? So if you, from a Bible scholars, power is dynamis. It doesn't mean ego. Wow.
Yeah.
Power. And you're walking in that power. And every day you wake up and you're excited about life. Yeah? Yeah? You told me about the gym. You told me how you get your day started. What's your train of thought? What's first thing on your mind that you know I got to get it done? And this is daily.
Daily?
Yep.
First thing on my mind is, well, again, maintaining my faith. Because yes, I have a significant other, but I do have a grandmother that I feel like has cloaked me in grace. And I do have a really amazing family, grandfather and parents who are probably watching. But I think for me, the biggest thing that I think about consistently is legacy.
Wow.
It's literally tattooed on me. My life is my message. You know, like
God, I knew I loved her. When I first met her, I'm like, how can I get her to be my friend? And then you introduced me to Dr. Natasha.
Yes.
And I'm around these amazing women. You are something serious, lady. Your faith, you've got people that pray for you. How important is it for your circle? Do you have a circle that is so large that you can depend on that person and that person? What does that look like?
I have circles.
Oh,
I do have a very close-knit, small nucleus. My family, of course. I have some amazing girlfriends who I know are like watching right now. I mean, my fiance, his family, of course, but then the Helen's Daughters, that community that I created as well, and by extension, their families, that's my family.
Wow. Oh my gosh. We're coming down to the close of the show and it's breaking my heart because we have truly been blessed by one of God's very own, the apple of his eye, who literally created with her hands and her intellect and a will to not stop until she accomplished her goal. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. You have no earthly idea. I'm trying to do this without crying because I swore I would not cry tonight. I'm not. To have you in my presence is something serious, but for me to be in your presence is such an honor, and I'm truly grateful to God for this. Thank you so very much, St. Lucia. Barbados, the UK's in the house. We've got Ghana in the house. We've got Texas, we've got Florida, we've got Los Angeles, we've got Mississippi. I mean, I can't even name you all, but I'm truly, truly grateful for you. I will never, ever, ever squander the time that you allow me to be in your presence. Thank you so very much. Every time I come up and I say, hey, man, are you happy? And you'll smile through it and tell me you are. I am grateful to literally be in a country where people dream so big that it kind of scares them at times. I got someone that walks with me in this, and he knows who I'm talking about. So, St. Lucia, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Keithlin Caroo. Can't you see her getting like the Nobel Peace Prize? I'm speaking that into existence. How about that? Until next time, I am your girl. I am your friend, Dr. Tongie. You know me as Tongie. This has been Talk to Tongie. Thank you. God bless you. Until next time.
Good night.
Good night.
Remember my eyes. We were known to get but we both